Joshua Buatsi versus Dan Azeez, 12 rounds in the 175-pound division. These two are friends. Not sure how close their friendship is. But sometimes, when you're fighting your friend, you kind of dial back the intensity a little bit. I don't think that will be the case for these two. Maybe we don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I do have a question that I want to ask you, especially those over in the UK. Is this a big fight? Is this a big fight over there? Like, what's the buzz like? What's the hype like over there? Do we care much about this fight? Like, how do we feel? Because personally, I haven't heard too much about this fight. I haven't seen a lot of advertisement to it. But I personally think this is going to be a good one. So let's get into it. Let's start with Joshua Buatsi. 17 wins, no losses, 13 wins by way of knockout. Buatsi's coming into this one with the height advantage and the reach advantage by a few inches. How do we feel about Buatsi? I've been watching Buatsi for a while now. I thought he took a nice step forward in his career last year when he fought Craig Richards, someone who was not just one of the best in the UK, but one of the best in the division, right? And fought for a title when he fought Dimitri Bivol and had a good showing in defeat against Dimitri Bivol. So this was going to be a test to see if Buatsi is who we think he is and who he believes that he is. This was also a fight on the outside looking in. I didn't feel like there was a crazy amount of buzz behind this one as well, but this was a fight that turned out to be, personally, one of my favorites of the year. Richards was exactly what Buatsi needed, a guy who was going to test him, not just physically, but mentally as well. What are you going to do when you aren't getting the upper hand, right? When you're going to have to think your way in strategically, when you can't just rely on your strength and your athleticism and your power, you're going to have to put together a full fight. And Craig Richards was going to make sure Buatsi put forth a full fight in order to beat him. Richards has fought at that championship level, so he knows what a champion looks and feels like. And so this was going to be a very good test. And the fight, once it started, had a lot of ups and downs for both men. But Buatsi had the upper hand. When he was in front of Richards, man, he was having nice success, right? Targeting the body, using his explosiveness and the power to his advantage, his athleticism. The jab was apparent to him that night, and he didn't neglect it. Richards countered, responded nicely, though, whenever Buatsi was stealing too much of the momentum. Fast forward, I believe it was the 8th round where Richards looked like he caught Buatsi with an uppercut that wobbled him, and he immediately clenched up and went to tying up Richards. Richards moved out of the way and pushed him and caught him again. Even though Buatsi responded with a shot, you could still see that he was still wobbled in a little daze, but he did something very smart. He tried to get close to Richards to make the shots less powerful, and he survived the round. Richards has long arms, man. It takes a little bit to get up there, right? So he just went close to him and fired off a couple of shots to make sure that Richards has something that he has to worry about on his end, and he can't just load up on those shots again and land him cleanly. That uppercut that Richards landed, man, thing of beauty, beautiful shot, beautifully timed, and he almost stunned him enough to really seize the moment. But credit to Buatsi, because he was able to recover and made sure that he was smart about it, right? After that, he responded in the next round, landed some nice, powerful shots. Buatsi did look tired, though, and Richard looked a little bit tired as well. But then, Buatsi started to, it's like he found a second wind, right? And he started to really get busier with his work and landed some nice eye-catching shots. The judges love to see those big shots, but it was a fight that he had to earn it, right? When his back was against the wall, he stood the test and found a way to win the fight. His best performance to date for me personally. After that, he fought Powell Stepien, and we did a breakdown of that video. I felt like Buatsi would win the fight, but I felt like he would go the distance as well too, right? Because for a few things, Stepien can box, right? He's not chopped liver as most people were making him out to be. But the other thing was just from an emotional state, like an emotional standpoint, man. Let me tell you a quick story. 2016, after the Olympics, right, I had another track meet, and I had to do that track meet, abide by the contract. You got to finish certain things out, and I had to do that track meet, right? but I wasn't looking forward to it at all, right? Just from an emotional standpoint, after coming off the Olympic Games, the highest of highs, and winning a medal, like my emotional meter was all the way up here. The excitement was all the way up here. It's the Olympic Games. You don't need much to be excited for that. But all of the things that transpired along that time emotionally, man, I was up here. And then to go back down to a meet that was like down here, wasn't as intense, wasn't as crazy. I wasn't up for it, and my performance showed. I still ran decent, but not as well because I really didn't care for it as much as I probably should have. I just had a hard time rewiring my mind coming off of that excitement when I just wanted to go home and celebrate with my peoples and show them what we just got from the Olympics. So that's kind of the same feel that I got from Joshua Buatsi's performance. After the high, intense, all-out battle with Richards, it looked like he was just kind of going through the motions, doing what was needed to be done, kept things simple, and just got the win, right? I didn't leave thinking he took a step backward by no means or anything like that. I just, from my experience, I just felt like, man, the emotion when he fought Richards was up here. This was another fight that was already set up that he had to take and had to go through in his team. And then, he was like, man, you could just see that he was a little bit flat, a little unmotivated, a little lackadaisical, but he did enough to get the win and he moves on from here. So I'm expecting a much better performance against Dan Azeez. And I'm expecting the Buatsi that fought Bolotniks and Richards to be much more present in this fight. But let's talk about his opponent, Dan Azeez. 20 wins, no losses, 13 wins by way of knockout. This is a big fight for Azeez, and I think a big step up for Azeez. But if he can beat Buatsi, this changes things in his trajectory very quickly to the point where, one or two more fights, one more, it could be a title fight if he can beat Buatsi, because that's where Buatsi is. I thought he was going to fight Dimitri Bivol next, but, it didn't happen. But he can get that shot, I'm sure. Azeez gave up a height advantage and a reach advantage by quite a bit when he fought Shaquem Pitters, right? Pitters, a 6'6" man dude is just tall. You know what I'm saying? He's always probably going to be the taller guy whenever he steps into the ring. And when the fight started, man, I saw Pitters, like the way how he put his jab out and the extension and the distance he created. I was just like, man, this could be a long night for Dan Azeez if Pitters can keep this up for 12 rounds. The question is, could he keep it up for 12 rounds? That was the question. However, Azeez was able to adapt and change how he was going to fight Pitters. Azeez is a physical fighter. He always talks about his favorite fighter is Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And though I don't think the guys are the same by any means, there are similar shots and approaches that he took from Hagler and tries to incorporate in his style. Azeez was coming over the top against Pitters, looping shots. I mean, you kind of got to loop your shots in when your guy is 6'6", but you got to find different ways to get those shots to land. And I thought he did a very good job of mixing up how he was attacking from an offensive standpoint against Pitters. Pitters is a physical presence, absolutely. Intimidating figure when you're standing next to him, looking at him. But to me, he's not a physical guy like that. Right. And Azeez is a physical guy where it's tough, it's grueling, it's rough. That's where his strength is, man. That's what he can do. That's going to be the best part of him to win this fight, in my opinion. After Pitters, he fought Rocky Fielding. And even though Fielding was a little older, he could still give Azeez some problems. And Azeez just stuck to his game plan, came forward, closed the range, hit the body, hit the head, and just kind of grind down Rocky Fielding. Azeez is very consistent with the pressure. It's not always easy to get his timing down because he moves his head from in close and different angles. He'll come in from different angles. He just doesn't rest, man. The man just doesn't take time off. He's just always in your face, always looking to smother you with something. Even if the shots don't have a lot of steam on them, it's just something. It's just jab to the head, jab to the body, uppercut, push. Like it's just a whole bunch of different shots that he is going to be putting right in front of you the moment that the bell rings. He's just a lot, man. And he just grinds his opponents down. And that's what he did to Rocky Fielding, man. He just wore Fielding down, kept chipping away, broke him down. His conditioning is great. He's consistent every round. He's effective. He stopped Rocky in the 8th round, and it was a very nice win on his resume, man. Regardless of the age, anytime that you have the opportunity to face a champion and to beat a champion, yo, that's a big deal, especially with Rocky Fielding, who was having some good moments, who's still a little bit, the skill is still there. Even if the athleticism in the body isn't, he can still make it tough for the younger fighter. In his most recent fight, he fought Khalid Gradea, I think it was, a guy who's got a 10-13-4 record, and someone who I thought he was going to stop, even though he put a punishing beating on his opponent. That was one that I felt like, he should have got the stoppage. However, maybe his opponent was just on one that night and he just didn't want to go down, right? But nice win for him. And he'll be looking to continue that winning streak, upward trajectory, but this is a step up for him. So who wins? I think Azeez can make this tough for Buatsi if he can get Buatsi sucked into fighting his fight. Buatsi can box a little bit on the outside, right? But he's a physical presence and likes to fight on the inside. And he's a very good fighter on the inside. And when he decides to let his hands go, man, the mix of attacks from in close is great. And it has good power on it, good steam, right? So Azeez is going to have to find a way to slow him down while still being in his face. Because if you let Buatsi unload on you and give him room to really cock back on his shots, man, he's got deceiving strength, man. This guy can pop, he can crack, right? And so to me, I think you got to stay in his face. You got to pressure him. You got to be smart. You got to come in calculated, and you have to be the more physical guy, but really commit to it. Make it rough, make it tough. However you got to make it a physical fight where you can take away a little bit of Buatsi's athleticism because you're just physically being the more imposing figure. So it's going to be tough, man. Again, I think it's a step up for Azeez. I think Buatsi, he's more skilled. I think his offensive bag is a little bit more than Azeez. So it's going to be interesting to see if Azeez can get Buatsi's respect. And that could be a problem if he does not get it. I think Joshua Buatsi is going to get it done. I think it goes the distance depending on which Buatsi we get. If we get a guy that's going to come and bring that pressure forward, there's a good chance it could be a late stoppage. I'm not sold on Azeez's defense, but I think if he can be the more physically opposing guy, I think he will be able to grind that a little bit more. But I think Joshua Buatsi wins this fight by decision. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're enjoying the content, enjoying the videos, getting something from it, if you'd like to support the channel, there's a couple ways that you can do so. You can like, comment, share, subscribe, share it with a friend, engage in the community, like the video. Or if you'd like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. I appreciate everyone that has genuinely sent their own donation into the channel, man. It really, really means a lot. I don't take it for granted. Shout out to everybody that continues to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, man. I appreciate each of you. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.